I'm going to get right into it. I want to say good morning to everyone out there, believers, non-believers. It's funny, man, how this week been for me, but it ultimately been like this for the last 5 years. Ever since I gave my life over to God, God has been taking me on this journey. See, I'm a soldier in God's army. And when you want to be a soldier, for anybody that been in the military, you just don't take a test and they throw you into the field. You got to go through training. You got to go through different type of training to be equipped to fight whatever the battle you're in when you're in the military. Same thing happens when you're a soldier of God, for God, in his army. Because trust and believe, God is building his soldiers and the enemy's building his. And I've been noticing this for like the last 10 years. You know, I got a sharp eye. I pay attention to what's going on in the world with people around me, social media, and more, the devil's building his army. God is building his army because God spoke to me. He spoke to me about 8 years ago, and he told me that he was coming back. Jesus is coming back. And he said it would happen in my lifetime. I don't know when. It could happen tomorrow. It could happen 2 weeks from now. I don't know. It tells us that in the Bible. When he does come, the trumpets will play. But before all that happens, there's going to be some things that's happening around the world. And if you really open up your eyes, you can see things happening. You can see the changes. Like, let's say TV, for example. You see more homosexual activity on TV than what you probably ever did even 5 years ago. You see children killing people and people killing children and trafficking and this is stuff that we did not know or even hear about 15 years ago. You know, the Lord been training me to be one of his soldiers. And it was certain things when I first got into God. See, when I started following God, anything that I thought I knew about God, I threw it out the window. You know, I wasn't raised in the church. You know, when I became an adult, I would go to church, you know, on my own. But I wasn't raised in the church. You know, I didn't know if God could be a man or a woman at one point. You know, I'm just listening to what everybody else says. You know, it was times I tried to read the Bible 10, 15 years ago, and I couldn't read it. For whatever reason, I couldn't read it. And I noticed, when I think back on my life, I noticed that God put certain individuals in my life to watch over me, to keep me down the straight and narrow, or to, you know, funnel me to him. It's people on my Facebook that I thank for taking me in. Dirk Bean, Corey Parsons, Corey, and man, my mind just went blank, man. I'm sorry if it's people that been there for me, that helped me. LaShawn, Burnett, they never judge me. They never, you know, they been there for me. It's a couple people. If I haven't gave you the shout out, I'm sorry. My mind just went blank. Jesse, Corey, Dirk, Talitha, man, so many people that God done used to help me, to guide me, to let me see him. But even though he was using different people, it was ultimately up to me to make the change, to accept God, because I was running away from God my whole life. You know, I remember when I was like 22, I had a dream that I was preaching to a mass of people like on a hill, and it scared me. It scared me. And I didn't want to be a Christian. I was like, oh man, you be a Christian, you lame. You're lame. You're going to live a lame life. You're going to live a boring life. But that's not the truth. That's not the truth. And at that moment, you know, the enemy's putting those thoughts in my head not to follow Christ, because he knew who I was. He's been following me my whole life. He's been trying to lead me down the wrong path and lead me down the wrong hole. And like I said, I had people that may not been Christians fully, and people that was fully followers of Christ that had good character. And God kept those people around me that had good character. So even if I wanted to stray or left, growing up in LA, growing up in Long Beach, California, being in the hoods of Watts and Compton, Inglewood, knowing real gangbangers, knowing real killers, being locked up in jail, y'all don't know me. Some of y'all don't know me. Y'all think y'all know me, but y'all don't know me. Some of y'all went to high school with me, and that's where it stopped. But when I was grown, all the way from 20 to 36, man, I lived a life that I look back on that I do not like. You know? But God kept me on the he always kept somebody to keep me, you know, thinking about him. And like I said, I ran away from God. You know, I didn't, and I remember when I gave my life to the Lord, and when I was 36 years old. I'm 41 now. I remember when I gave my life to the Lord and God was telling me my purpose. I cried. And I'm asking him, why are you choosing me? Why are you choosing me? I don't know the word. He said, you will learn the word. I said, there's other people that you done put in my life. Why you ain't using them? He said, you will know more than them. And that was crazy. He said, you will know more than them. These are people that have been following God, watching God their whole life. Go to church. I haven't went to church. They read the Bible. They pray for hours. They fast. They do all this. And I'm like, why are you not using them? And then it came to me when I'm reading the Bible. God chooses the unqualified. Well, I was very unqualified, but now I'm not. He said, you will show people how to follow my word by your actions. Because God judges us by our actions alone. So I cried because I felt like that's a big responsibility. That's a big responsibility to lead people that's going to trust in me when the time is ready, when the time comes. And God said, don't worry about it. I'm going to equip you. All you got to do is follow my word. Do what my word says. When I say the word, I'm talking about the Bible, people, for those that don't know. So when I bow down on my knees in my own apartment, December 3rd, 2015, and I gave my life over to God, he started working on me. He started working on me. I had to take little steps here and there. You know, I was on breast milk. I'm not on breast milk no more. I had to take little baby steps. I had to learn how to love. I had to learn how to forgive. Forgiveness is the hardest thing to do. And who did I have to forgive? I had to forgive my family. Who in my family? I had to forgive my sisters. I had to forgive my mother, my father. I had to learn how to forgive them for the pain that they gave to me, the things that they did towards me. I had to learn how to forgive. That was one of my first tests, was learn forgiveness. Because if you could forgive, then everything else going forward, it was going to be easier. That was one of my first tests, was forgiveness. Then once I learned how to forgive and how to forgive properly, Not, oh, I forgive you, but I don't want to talk to you no more. I won't keep my peace. A lot of people feel like, oh, I forgive the person, but I just don't deal with them no more. That's not true forgiveness. Forgiveness is when somebody could do you wrong and you still love them. You still contact them, even when they haven't contacted you. Let me use this for a quick example. And I'm going to bring my family into this. My wife just had a baby. My sister Raisha just had a baby. My sister Rochelle just had a baby. They're all a month apart. So the first one that had a baby was Raisha. Raisha had a baby. Then Rochelle had the baby. Rochelle had her baby. Beautiful son. She didn't send me one picture. She didn't call me and say, because we had a spiritual argument with something to do with my mother on her 70th birthday. That my mother begged for all of her kids, which is me and Raisha, to celebrate. She wanted all her kids with their husbands and my wife to celebrate her 70th birthday party. Nothing big, just something at a location. Now, this is, in July. Okay, July this year. Corona's taking place. People scared. People don't want to be around other people. You can't celebrate at a restaurant. So I suggest we can have it at my house. It's no problem. We can order some food from P.F. Chang. I could go pick it up. We can have it over here at the house. My sister, on the other hand, she don't want to do it. She don't want to do it because she don't want to. It's the menu. She didn't want what I was considering how we do the menu and how we break up the whatever we're gonna do when it came to the food. She didn't want to do it. And then she started insulting me, talking about my place was too small. But she have a big house. Not one time did she say we could do it at my house. Whatever. That's not the case. So I'm going through this spiritual argument with my sister, and she don't show up to the party. Me, Coretta, Trevor, Raisha, my mom, we celebrate. We have a good time. We had a good time to the point my mom was like, this is one of her best birthdays ever. She was happy. We did the most with what we had. Listened to some music, we danced, laughed, joked, had a good time, had a good celebration. But Rochelle, I told her, I didn't disrespect her, I didn't call her no names. She left me this long paragraph text message. And I tried to leave her some voice messages, and she didn't want to listen to them. She said, I'm not listening to your voice messages. So I said, okay, cool. I'll type it out. I'm not going to read your letter. You just left me a letter, so now I can't. So now you don't want to read mine, but you want me to read yours. To the point, she blocks me. So I can't even send, I'm pretty sure whatever I send, she ain't gonna be able to read. She don't talk to me. She don't talk to Rochelle for Raisha, for months. Her husband, Craig, which some of y'all may know because y'all went to high school with her, with Rochelle and Craig. Craig retires from the military. I ain't heard from Craig either. But we're friends on Facebook, but we don't interact. I see that he posted that he retired from the military. I knew he was going to retire from the military. First thing I did was pick up my phone, called him up to congratulate him for his time served in the military. Now, I could have been spiteful. I could have been like, you know what? Y'all family don't mess with me. I'm not going to mess with y'all family. But that's not how God works. See, a lot of y'all don't know me. Y'all don't know my character. Y'all want to judge me, but y'all don't know me. Okay? Y'all don't know me. I don't do anything for my own selfish attention. You see what I'm saying? Like, so anyway, I even tell them I work at the post office. I like, hey, if you ever think about working where the post office is hiring, since you was in the military, you come into the post office with 5 weeks of vacation a year. 5 weeks of vacation a year. Off jump. You don't get 5 weeks of vacation if you're just a regular person coming off the street to work at the post office. You got to work your way up to that. But I just wanted to let him know I congratulated him. I thanked him for his service. And I didn't need to do that. But that's my character. It's not to prove a point or, you know, show him I'm better than you. I'm better than y'all. No, I did the godly thing. Because I don't hold, even though the things that my sister said in the text messages was nasty and disrespectful, I knew who I was fighting. I knew I was fighting the enemy that was using my sister against me. Because my sister loves me. Raisha, I done had the same type of arguments with my sister Raisha, and she done said some hurtful stuff, disrespectful stuff. And I knew I was fighting the enemy. See, when you know who you're fighting, and you know your purpose, and then you know how to, you know the signs of spiritual warfare, and when you're being attacked by the enemy, then you know you're fighting against flesh and blood, you don't hold the person accountable because it's not them that's talking to you. So fast forward, my sister Rochelle has a baby. She don't send me a picture. She don't tell me the baby's name. She don't tell me that she made it through her labor. She don't do anything. I call her, no answer. But I leave a message. Congratulations on your baby. I love you, and that's it. So my baby Raquel, my baby Rayma is having her first year for her first birthday. Now, I can still be spiteful and bitter, and I can say, you know what? Since you don't want to, we just had our baby. I'm not going to send her no pictures. I'm not going to say anything. No, that's not what I did. Let me go ahead and send my sister pictures of my newborn baby. See, when you had God living within you, it ain't no such thing as tit for tat no more. You think Jesus was walking on this earth doing tit for tats with people that disrespected him and did him wrong? No, God says love everyone. Love thy enemy. Treat them with respect. Treat people with respect. Treat people of faith with the same type of respect. Even when they're going through the fire. Support them. Guide them. Give them the encouragement that God is going to help you go further. So, Rayma has her first birthday. Let me go ahead and invite Rochelle and Craig and anybody else, all the cousins, for my daughter's first birthday. I send the invite out. I text it over to Craig. Didn't get no response. I texted over to Craig like a week before the birthday because it was last minute. We didn't know what we wanted to do. Corona. If we wanted to have people come in the house, we had you know how it is when you have a new baby, you don't want other people to be around the new baby and anything like that. But so we're trying to figure out, the baby was just born a week ago. But we want to do something for our baby's first birthday. We don't want to do something in December. We want to do something close to her birthday. We want to do something on her birthday. Her birthday lands on a Sunday. We're going to have a birthday party. It is what it is. The baby will be okay. So 2 days before the party, I get a text from Craig saying that they're going to come. I'm like, okay. I'm not going to tell my sister Raisha because Raisha and Rochelle, they don't get along. And if I tell my sister Raisha, she's not like me, she's not forgiving, they're going to probably be beefing. And Raisha ain't going to want to come to this birthday party. Okay? So I'm like, I tell my wife, I'm not going to tell Raisha that Rochelle's coming. Come to find out, Rochelle and Raisha done reached out to each other, and I think Rochelle reached out to Raisha and said she will be at the party. She's coming to the birthday party. I said, okay, cool. I didn't want to say nothing, but if Raisha knows and they come, that's cool. Rochelle and Raisha, Craig, Trevor, Sasha, Jamal. Jamal and Sasha, they're friends of ours. They came to the birthday party. Everybody came to the birthday party. We had a wonderful birthday party just last Sunday. Just last Sunday. Everything was good. But the point to my story just now is to say, I'm built a little bit different. I'm not trying to boast about myself. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has a purpose from God. Everybody has spiritual gifts. Mine's is teaching. Mine's is faith. And mine's is discernment. Those is my top 3 spiritual gifts. So when it comes to reading the Bible, I went from reading the Bible and couldn't understand the Bible. Couldn't read it. It didn't make sense. I didn't know where to start reading from, and do you start from the beginning and work your way like a traditional book, or how do you? I have so many questions, but God, once I gave my life to God and I started following God, guess what? I started understanding the Bible. Now, when I first started reading the Bible, I really didn't read it. I would just listen to it audio while I was at work, and I would listen to it. And this is when I was going through the storm of my own fire right after my first marriage. I would listen to the word, and then it got so good, I said, I can't listen to it no more, I got to read it. And then when I started reading it, it started making sense. When I started reading it, I started getting the visions in my head of the stories of the Bible. When I started reading the Bible, and the Bible's telling me to do this, I started doing it. I started learning. Okay, it tells me that I'm supposed to do this. It tells me, I'm supposed to, if it was a scripture that said, quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to get angry, I took that. And I said to myself, I'm going to take that to work, and I'm going to practice that at work to people that I know I don't get along with. I'm going to be quick to listen to what they got to say. Management. I'm going to be slow to speak, but most importantly, I'm going to be slow to get angry. Why is it? Then I think to myself, why do God don't want us to get angry? So I do more research, and I learn how, when you get angry, you're giving an avenue to God. You're giving an avenue for the enemy to come in to control you. So now I'm starting to put things together. I'm doing these tests, forgiveness, God, build my faith. God start building my faith. Start having faith. So this is what he's doing, little things in my life. See, now when I walk outside, I'm not looking at the world. I'm looking at the spiritual. Everything's spiritual realm now. Everything is spiritual realm. From the TV shows I watch, to the music I listen to, to people I talk to. I'm paying attention more. I'm living in the spiritual realm. I'm not living in the worldly world no more. I'm listening to Kendrick Lamar's album, his last album. I'm like, wow, he got a lot of Bible undertones in these songs. Let me read the titles. Oh my goodness, humble. Oh, even though he's cursing, I'm not judging him, but I can listen to that album and say the Bible's all through that album. Why would God allow a rapper to rap, but it's not a gospel album? Oh, it's because there's people out there that God is still trying to touch, and this is the only way he could touch through them. I'm listening to Lauryn Hill's album, and I'm like, this is a gospel album. But back in 1996, I never thought that it was a gospel album. It's not titled a gospel album, but if you listen to the song, it's a lot of the songs have to do with the Bible, the Bible's teachings, the word, everything. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. I'm looking at TV shows now differently. I'm looking at commercials differently. The more I'm starting to grow in the word, the more I'm looking at everything differently now. I'm living in the spiritual realm. I'm not living in the world no more. I'm changing. I'm forgiving people. God is building my faith. Look, check this out. This is how God was building my faith. So I had a storage, right? I had a storage that was way past due, that I had got that notice. If you don't make a payment by this day, we're going to have to put it up for auction. My whole life is in that storage. I don't know. I had to pay like $300. I'm $300 behind. So what's that? I think I was paying like $100 per month or somewhere close. So that's what, 3 months behind. So they're talking about putting it up for auction. I go to the storage. I'm like, look, I don't get paid until this day. Can you work with me? The owner's like, nah, we can't. We try to work with you. You didn't return no phone calls, whatever. You got till this day to pay it. Who can I talk to? Who's going to loan me the money? Well, I can't ask certain people because I know they're not going to loan me the money. I call my mom up. I'm like, Mom, I need $300 because they're going to get rid of my storage. She's like, well, ain't nothing I could do. I'm like, okay, so I'm frustrated. I'm sad. I'm like, man, ain't nothing I could pond. I can't, how am I gonna get this money? And then God gave me a vision. And, he gave me a vision of being obedient and having faith, right? And it took me to the story. Hold on, let me make sure I get this right. Come on, Rashad. This should be at the top of your head. Give me a second. Let me see if I can find it. Give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, I had to get off. I didn't want to get off, but I had to get off to find what I was trying to say and what I was talking about. So, I was talking about my mom and my storage, not being able to pay, thinking about who I could ask to help me pay my storage, and God was like, he put the vision of Abraham. He gave me the vision of Abraham. And he gave me the vision of Abraham and how Abraham was being obedient to the Lord all the way to the point that he was about to sacrifice his son, and he was on his way to sacrifice his son, to stab him, to kill him for a sacrifice for God. And right when he was about to kill his son, God spoke to him. God spoke to him. And he seen how Abraham was obedient to him all the way to the end. But he also had faith in God, to believe in God. And that's what, when it came down to my storage, I had all that faith that God was going to fix it. And it went all the way down to the last day, and I get a phone call from my mom. And my mom said, I got $300 for you. Just a couple days before, she didn't have the money. Or maybe she did and she didn't want to give it to me. But maybe, God told her to give her the money. Who knows? But I had faith that God was going to fix it all the way down to the last day. Because I'm telling, and that built my faith. And then it was another, excuse me, people.